10 years ago, I was struggling with an eating disorder and wanting to be really thin. And now I'm over here like intentionally gaining weight and putting on muscle. Look how far I've come.
Welcome to Josh Smith's Great Chat Show, the place where you're part of the conversations you won't find anywhere else. Now, before we get started today, make sure you subscribe so you never miss a chat, and let's get right into it. Welcome to Josh Smith's Great Chat Show. Today, I am joined by Camila Mendes. You'll know her from Riverdale, obviously, and now she's starring in Masters of the Universe. Today, we have an incredible chat about everything from body image to why you should be weight training, girlies, and also the power of vulnerability. Babes.
Yeah.
Welcome to Josh Smith's Great Chat Show.
I've heard so much about you.
Stop it. I've heard so much about you.
Really? What have you heard?
All good things.
Okay, good.
And some naughty things too, babe.
Oh, what naughty things? We'll talk about it.
We'll get to it. Well, this show is all about great chats.
Yes.
And I feel like you are a queen of a great chat. Right?
Thank you.
I feel like I'm getting that vibe from you.
We'll see.
Well, let's kick off with one chat I really want to know about.
Okay.
Because you have an incredible cast on Masters of the Universe. And you also have probably the best fake dad ever in Idris Elba.
Oh my God, I know. Can you
What was a
believe?
really great chat you had with him on set?
With Idris?
Yeah.
Idris is so down to earth. Like he has no ego. It's like talking to a buddy every time.
Mm-hmm.
And he's such this like big star in my mind that I was very nervous to meet him.
Really?
Yeah. Well, just because he might be like one of the biggest actors I've ever worked with,
Yeah.
to be honest. So I was just like, you know, when I found out he was going to be my dad, I was like, oh my God, I hope he's cool because we obviously have to have, you know, a good like father-daughter relationship on camera. But I don't know, we had so many heart-to-hearts about the business and about family and kids and raising kids. And he's like such a dad. It's so sweet.
Is there a life lesson you learned from him?
I don't know, babes. It was so long ago. I'm like,
You're like racking the brain. You're
I'm like, oh, so much has happened since then. My brain hasn't stored any of that information.
I love that.
It's all gone.
Yeah,
I have great short-term memory and terrible long-term memory. But I'm sure he gave me a lot of great lessons. But what I have retained is that I went to one of his DJ sets.
Oh, wow.
At Soho House, and I had a blast.
Yeah, I've been to one of those. They go off.
Oh my God. It was so fun.
He once brought up this TV icon who's like 80 years old, Angela Rippon. This means nothing to you, but it's so iconic.
Yeah.
And brought her up and they were DJing together.
Oh
like him
God.
and this 80-year-old. It was iconic.
Sounds iconic.
Yeah, he's great.
Yeah.
We love him.
I love Idris.
Well, also, we love Masters of the Universe.
Yes, we do.
What a movie, babe.
I know.
It doesn't hold back.
So you've seen it?
Seen it.
Okay,
babe.
good,
Seen the whole thing. I'm just obsessed.
It's so fun.
And also, it's kind of so camp.
Yeah.
It's incredible.
1000%.
You're going to be responsible for so many
I can't
gay
get away
awakenings.
from camp. Like that's just, camp calls my name. It lures me in.
Is it something about you, do you think?
Probably.
Yeah.
Yeah. I think I'm camp in spirit.
Yeah. I can see that about you. I feel like this is why we're getting on
I
so
like
well
to have a
already.
fun time.
Yeah, exactly.
And camp movies are so fun.
The transition into the loincloth with the abs.
Oh my God.
It's like, even I was like, 100% gay.
Someone said it's like kind of, it reminds them of like the Sailor Moon transition. You know what I mean? Like the sort of anime, like swept up in magic. I love it.
It's a real vibe. And you were here in London filming it, weren't you?
Yeah, I was here in London for 7 months.
Was there anything you picked up from British culture that you've assimilated?
I don't know that I've assimilated it, but I've noticed a lot of things. Like one of my favorite things that I've noticed in Brits is that they like can't hang up the phone without being like, bye, 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 bye. It's like a million byes before they hang up. And I've noticed this across the board. Like
Guilty as charged.
It's like they have to have the last bye. And it's just like back and forth. Bye,
bye.
bye, bye,
No.
Okay, bye, 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 bye.
And this show we could have ended this call like 5 minutes ago.
Yes.
Just said bye so much.
I love it.
That's how we're going to end this interview. I'll just be like, bye, 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 bye. Oh, no, you go, bye, bye. What I love about this movie so much is finally we also have a female superhero.
Yes.
Who also comes in to rescue the man.
I know.
Babe, how important.
He wouldn't be alive if
He
not
would
for
not be
Tila,
alive.
So
Notes, receipts.
fuck that.
Check them. How important do you think that is?
I mean, I think it's incredibly important. To me, I think there's been so many superhero films that have depicted strong women, but the way that Tila is introduced in this movie, like the minute you meet her, she's saving Adam. And I think
Mm.
that's such a strong way to introduce a female character. More often than not, you see like a lot of male actors don't want to be saved by a woman on camera, you know? And they have issues with that. But in this case, that's how we're starting off the film.
And this damsel also now has herself a Barbie doll
I
babe.
know!
Can we
Isn't
go?
she so cute?
She is so cute.
Can I get a look at her? 'Cause
You need to
it's
get a
been a
little look at
minute.
her.
Oh my god. The
How-
yassified Tila.
She is Yosemite. The hair is sensational.
I
on
know,
her.
and the makeup.
It's so good.
Wow. Just gonna put her right there.
How much would this have meant to little you
So much.
to have seen this?
Oh my god. I played with Barbies. It's so surreal. And, you know, I like helped design it. Like I was like giving
That's so cool.
notes on my likeness and stuff. And it's so weird to see it materialized. Also, like the costume being materialized. Obviously, I didn't wear a glitter vest, but
Why not?
I should have.
Shut up.
This costume, we did fittings for months, getting the right balance of all the different elements. And it's crazy that now this thing that we created over a course of a period of time, like, is now materialized in a doll, you know?
Yeah.
And like I was involved in the creation of that, which is just crazy.
Such a magical experience, right?
Yeah. And I hope young girls buy Barbie Tila.
She's selling like hotcake.
I didn't know that was happening.
Babe, it's happening. How incredible.
Wow. That's amazing.
Yeah, it's amazing. And I think what's so incredible about seeing you in this movie is you show so much physical and mental strength
I
in it.
know. I look back on it and I mean, I've lost all the muscle that I gained during that project. But when I was in the thick of it, I couldn't really see myself objectively. Like, you know, you get so used to looking at yourself in the mirror. Like, I didn't feel like I was strong enough and buff enough. And then when I watched the movie after being away from it for a long time, I was like, whoa.
What do you think it taught you about your relationship with your physical and mental strength?
God, so much. That was such a journey because for so long before filming Masters, you know, I love working out. I love fitness. That was always a part of my life. But I never had the goal of gaining muscle and like looking strong. That was never something I was after. And I think most women typically don't pursue that. You know, they're afraid of looking manly. And weight training taught me so much about my body and also kind of it made me overcome that fear so much so I became addicted to gaining muscle. And I was like, it's never enough. Like, I want more. I want to feel even stronger. I want to look stronger. And that was such a weird reversal to think, you know, 10 years ago, I was struggling with an eating disorder and wanting to be really thin. And now I'm over here, like, intentionally gaining weight and putting on muscle. And that was such a full circle moment of like, wow, look how far I've come. Look how much I've grown since I started out in my career.
Yeah. When you look back to that you 10 years ago, did you ever think you could get to that point?
No. Definitely not. And I did a lot of therapy around that. I wasn't sure if it was going to work, and then it did. And it was crazy to see how effective it was. And now I'm so grateful for that experience.
And it's so incredible you can share your experience
Oh,
now
yeah.
to help other people.
I know. I feel like I've evolved so far from that time of my life that it's like I feel very comfortable talking about it because it's just like another part of my story and it's what led me here.
Is there a moment that's shown you how powerful advocacy can be?
Yes, actually. I was flying from Brasilia, which is where my family's from in Brazil, to LA. And this girl sat next to me on the flight and she had struggled with body image. She was just telling me her journey with her body dysmorphia and eating disorder. And she was like, you have been such an inspiration to me talking about the things you've been talking about. And we had like this beautiful heart to heart. And it was an 8-hour flight. And we just like were talking the whole time. And she was sharing her story and saying how much my advocacy had inspired her and helped her. And I was like, oh, wow, like this really does reach the right people. Sharing your story and being vulnerable with the public, like it'll access the right people who need to hear it. And sometimes you need to be reminded of that.
And vulnerability is a superpower.
I agree. And by the way, that's like a huge message in the film. There is strength in vulnerability. And people see that as a weakness, like being vulnerable is a weakness. But I think if you're capable of being vulnerable, that's like actually the biggest sign of strength.
I couldn't agree more.
Because it's like I can show you my full self and I'm still
Mm.
here and I'm still standing.
And I'm willing to be open and honest about
Yeah,
myself with everyone,
exactly.
regardless of the judgment that might come.
Yeah, like I'm strong enough to handle what judgment might come if
Mm.
I'm vulnerable with you.
And I think that's so interesting because there is such a great theme within the movie around the power of talking
Yes.
and sitting across from people
Yes.
and actually
Having a
listening to and
dialogue.
having a dialogue. And I think sometimes when it comes to talking about what we go through, we talk a lot about how great it is to talk.
Yeah.
And it's so great to talk, but we don't talk about how important it is to
To
listen.
listen. Yeah.
Have you found that?
Yeah, I think so. Especially, I mean, in interviews sometimes, you just want to talk and fill up the space. And sometimes it's good to just be present and listen and really think about what you're being asked. Sometimes during interviews, I try to think about you're talking to a person at a party or like you're at a social gathering and you've met a new person and you're just having a conversation and that's all it is. Because, you can quickly get in this mindset of I'm on and there's cameras watching me
Yeah.
and there's certain things I'm expected to say. But what grounds me is just like, it's just another human who's sitting across from me asking a question.
Yeah.
Like, it's just a conversation. That's like, goes to show the power of listening and just being present, taking a breath.
It's really grounding.
Yeah,
I find when I actually just locking and listen to someone, everything else that's going on in my life just dissipates.
disappears. I know.
And I feel so much lighter and
Yeah.
better by just listening to someone and giving them that space.
And it immediately puts you at ease to just connect with somebody.
And on your journey, because you've spoken a lot about mental health, which is so important, and I'm such a big advocate for
Yeah.
talking more about mental health. And speaking of listening, is there a time you can remember someone really listening to you and you were like, wow, they're actually taking the time to listen to me?
I feel like I feel that all the time. I have so many great people in my life that are great listeners, and especially the ones that listen with no judgment. When somebody listens and doesn't try to fix what you're talking about or try to like solve your problems for you, like they're just holding space for whatever it is your grievances. I think that's so powerful. And I feel like I have a few people in my life who are really good at that I appreciate.
And when people just listen and don't offer the unsolicited advice,
Yeah.
that's key.
I know. And by the way, sometimes that advice is
It's
welcomed.
great. And we love the advice.
Yes.
But sometimes, Han, just hold it back.
Yeah, just listen.
We just need you to listen.
Yes.
We need to vent.
Yeah, I
need to get
just
off this
need to let it
chest.
out.
Need to let this out.
Yeah.
And speaking of something we all should be talking about more, and which I think this movie picks up on so well, is about the manosphere. Because it talks about how muscles don't make a man. And I think that's a really interesting topic we should be talking about more, especially in the age of look-maxing.
Totally.
And also the manosphere. What concerns you about those discussions and how do you think we can get to a better place?
I think the movie has such a beautiful message that carries a lot of nuance about masculinity. And I'm very grateful for that perspective because I think right now there's so much there's such a binary way of thinking. It's like everything's good or bad and there's no in between. There's no gray area. It's like people are so quick to judge rather than perceive and just hold space for the complexity of life and the nuance of things. And I think this film makes a case for both sides of the coin, if that makes sense. It's like sometimes it's necessary to have the brawn. Sometimes it's necessary to be big and strong and to like protect yourself, literally. There's a beautiful part of the movie where Idris is like, Duncan, the character he plays, says, when war breaks out, it's not the painters and poets that step up. It's the fighters, like when it really comes down to it, sometimes having that ability to physically protect your family and to protect the ones you love really comes in handy. But it's almost like that's sort of the last resort. That's like what you have to do when it comes down to it. But what about everything before that? Like what you said, listening and having a conversation and trying to understand each other instead of being so quick to judge. I think that's something the movie does a really good job of doing, is kind of making space for the complexity of that conversation.
And reaching out to the other side.
Yeah.
to actually ask questions.
Yes, and try to understand.
That's so important. And
Yeah.
the really key message within that as well is being yourself and how there's
Yes.
so much power in being yourself
Being
and
authentic.
not feeling like you need to adhere to trends and other things
Yes.
that are going on around you.
Yeah.
Especially when you look at masculinity, for instance, right now, like attaching yourself to toxic information that's around you. It's very important to stay true to who you are
Yeah.
and find the power in that authenticity. When do you think you really started to find power in being yourself instead of trying to assimilate to other people?
I did this mental health retreat called Hoffman that really changed my life. And it was, one of those places where you're gone for a week and you check your phone in and like you're just off the grid for a week doing intensive psychological work on yourself. And it really just like checked everything about like I just felt so present coming out of that experience. And it reminded me, it like reconnected me to my inner self and like what I really want out of life.
Mm,
And it was such a beautiful experience, and I feel like I came out of it feeling like I knew myself better than I ever had, and I was able to make all the changes in my life that I needed to make to really be living the most authentic version of myself.
wow, when did you do that?
2 years ago.
Wow.
Yeah.
So it's quite late into life to have that moment, isn't
Yeah.
it?
I was just like, something's gotta change because the way I'm living my life is not making me happy. Like, I
Mm,
was saying yes to too much. Like, I didn't know how to say no to people. I had people-pleasing tendencies and perfectionism patterns and just, like, holding myself to such a high standard that I, like, just couldn't take a break. I couldn't rest. I didn't know how to stop. The amount of times I've said to somebody, "Sorry, it's just been really crazy, like, life has been really hectic," and I'm like, I've been texting that phrase for, like, 2 years. Now it's not just, like, a phase of my life. This is just
mm,
my life. Like, I can't keep saying this. There's something wrong. If I've been saying that for that long, something's gotta change.
mm. I had to really check myself for that the other day because I get
Really?
so bad with catching up on the messages
Yeah.
and I'll leave them. It's like a graveyard of
Oh,
WhatsApps.
and it
And you
gives
go
you
back
the
through,
worst
and I was getting to
anxiety.
the point where I was just copying and pasting the same message. Like,
Yeah,
so sorry, it's been so busy. Like, and I was like, that isn't
I
okay.
know.
Like, you need to take a step back and find some
Yes.
stillness.
Yeah,
Like, that's something I've found really
stillness.
interesting is trying to find a moment of stillness every day.
I know.
Game changing.
And you kind of, like you get kinda stuck on the hamster wheel, and you don't
Mm,
really know why you're on it anymore, and you're like, "Wait, wait, where am I going?"
yeah. And why am I doing this?
Yeah, literally, why am I doing
Why am I
this?
here?
And then when you reconnect to your sort of life purpose, you're like, "Oh, wait, I don't actually, like I don't need
Mm,
to be this, like, mega successful person, like, I wanna have enough success to live a happy life.
yeah.
That is it." So, like, if at any point my success is getting in the way of my happiness, it's not worth it. Like,
Mm,
I'd rather be happy.
yeah.
So, that was a lesson I needed to learn for
Yeah.
myself.
And ultimately, the success in life is your relationships, isn't it?
Yes.
And the
Yeah.
connections you have with people.
Yeah, your community.
Mm. And also, I think one of the things I love about this movie so much is the theme of standing up for yourself
Yeah.
and taking a stand.
Yes.
When have you been proudest for taking a stand for yourself?
To be honest, I think this program that I did was a version of that because I had to tell everyone like I'm gone for a week and no one can reach me and you're just gonna have to deal with that.
Mm.
like
See ya.
like it was like an important boundary for me to set. And I feel like it made a difference. Like I think when you do something like that, the way people treat you is different on your return because it's like, oh, okay, the things you've been saying for this long are actually real. Like
Mm,
I don't know, they take it more seriously. And now I feel like I'm better at taking like micro stands for myself every day. I can't say that there's been like this big moment that I'm like, oh, I took a stand for myself. But there have been many little moments on a daily basis of just like knowing and accepting that I can't give all of me to everybody all the time, which is really hard.
oh,
It
babe,
was
that is
really
so
hard for me.
hard.
Yeah.
I'm a chronic people pleaser.
Oh, yeah.
And I found trying to get to that stage of my life when I said no and
Yeah.
to prioritize my own time, my own energy a little bit more.
Exactly.
It's
And it
impossible.
might mean people not liking you. And I feel like
Mm.
I've gotten more comfortable with that, not just in my personal life, but in my career.
We talked a bit already about the power of talking, and you are a great chatter, babe, as we've already said. But this is the part of the show where I ask you, what is the greatest chat you've had that's had the biggest impact on you?
I have like I could talk to my dad a lot, but every once in a while we'll have like a talk.
Yeah.
And I'm always like, oh my God, my dad's the best. Like, he gives the best advice. And there have been like 2 moments in my life that I really remember my dad giving me really great advice. And one of them was like when I was in a relationship in the past that was like, no matter how hard I tried, it just like wasn't working. And my dad was like, look, like relationships are challenging. They're hard, but they're not that hard.
Mm.
He's like, I'm not here to tell you relationships are easy, but like the way that you're fighting for this one, like it shouldn't be that hard. They actually, if they're right, they should feel kind of easy. Like it should just feel natural. And I was like, oh wow, I needed to hear that, especially from my dad and my parents being divorced. I was like, oh, like that's a nice thing to hear from him. And then there was another moment in my life, which was before I went to this treatment, this program. And I just remember I was in a place in my life where I didn't know how to set boundaries. And I was like, I don't know what to do. I'm so overwhelmed. I have to do this, this, and this. And I don't think I can go to this thing because I not have my phone for 7 days. And I don't know if my whole career will crumble if I don't have my phone for 7 days. People need answers from me. I have this thing coming out. I have this thing to, answer to. And he was just like, nothing is going to change in a week. Like everyone will be okay. And he was like, don't get ahead of yourself. Like your mental health is a big part of the foundation of your life. Like if you don't do this, everything else will eventually crumble. Like this is something that you need in order to be able to do and show up to all those other things. And he always like talked to me about life being like, there's like a bunch of rocks in a glass and some of them are like big, big, heavy rocks. And the other ones are just like little pebbles. And he was like, take out the big rocks first, like deal with the big rocks and then you can tend to the little pebbles. But like you have to clear space first. And so that's like how I think about my life sometimes.
I love that image. You got to get the big pebbles out first and go for the little ones.
And then go for the little ones.
Love that.
Yeah, and I'm like, my mental health is a big rock right now.
Yeah.
And I need to clear some space out of my glass.
Yeah.
I don't know why there are rocks in the glass, but
I mean,
don't ask too many questions.
Don't ask too many questions. We could have gone with a pond analogy.
I might be butchering the analogy a little bit, but that's what I took away from it. Maybe they weren't in a glass. Maybe they were in a pot. I'm not sure.
We're not sure, but the rocks are there.
But they're rocks.
And they need to be dealt with.
And they need to be taken out, I think.
You've always been surrounded by great people.
Yeah.
Your Riverdale girls were there for you through such a huge change in your life. And obviously you had the TikTok account.
Yeah.
And recently you said, don't worry, we haven't forgotten the password.
Oh no, we have the password.
You have the password?
Yes. Yeah.
What's going on there, babes?
We just need to make more. We're just like always on other sides of the world. It's hard to like get the 3 of us in the same place at the same time. But when we are together, we always try to do something.
How has that girl group really helped you?
It's like family. It's like seeing my sisters, truly. Like they've been there through so many phases of my life and vice versa. And I just feel like the connection we have is unmatched. Like there's no one else that can ever fill that gap because what we experienced was so unique. And making television over the course of 7 years is a very intimate experience. And you're with each other every day for 16 hours a day. Our whole lives were that show.
And a very formative time in your life, in your 20s, right?
Yes, exactly.
A lot of change goes on there, babe.
I know. And we had to go to Vancouver, so we weren't even in our, hometowns. Like we relocated to go shoot Riverdale. If we weren't working, we were the only ones we would hang out with. So it was truly like I ate, slept, and breathed Riverdale. Like that was my life.
Yeah.
And it was the same for them.
And babes, you're about to go through a very unique experience when this comes out into the world. But before you leave us today, we always finish on one final question, babe.
Okay.
Because we're all about talking on this show. So what do you think we should all be talking about more?
I'm going to say weight training.
Key.
I think women need to weight train more. Women need to lift. Like we need stronger women, like physically stronger women. Enough with this Pilates shit. Just kidding. I love Pilates. I really do love Pilates. But like, you're not gaining muscle from Pilates. I'm sorry. Like, not like really, Weight training, not only is it so good for aging, like as you get older, like weight training is gonna save your body, but also fear not. You are not gonna get, unless you're like really trying to like bodybuild and get buff, you're not gonna get buff. You're just gonna have stronger muscles and you're gonna look toned.
Yeah. And you're gonna feel stronger within yourself, babe.
Yeah.
Just like you do.
Yeah. Like when you're getting your carry-on from the overhead bin, You're not gonna need help from a man. You can just do it yourself. I'm like, I got it.
I got
Thank
it.
you.
Look
And
at
I like
these
feel
muscles
so,
I
yeah,
got,
and I'm like
babe.
flexing on the way down.
Look at this bicep.
I'm like, underneath this hoodie, you have no idea
Yeah,
the muscles
what you're
I got.
messing with. Because I'm an action hero now.
Yeah.
And I have a Barbie doll
Little
too.
do you know.
No.
Don't let this bob fool you.
And what a bob it is, babe.
What a bob it
What?
is.
It's literally bobbing.
I know, she's bobbing.
She's bobbing. Babe, you're the best. Thank
You're
you
the
for chatting with me
best.
today.
This was a great chat.
Thank you so much for joining me for this great chat. Make sure you subscribe so you never miss a conversation. And also check out our group chat, our bonus episodes where you get to be part of the conversation too. I'll see you next time.